Good morning. Good
Good
morning,
morning.
everybody. We're waiting for people to join in. Just give a few minutes for people to join in. There's folks still joining in. Good morning to all folks who are joining in. We'll just wait for another minute or two, or if people are trying to join from wherever they are. Maybe we should go ahead and start. We will start with a couple of introductions, so that will give people a little time to join in if they are a little late. That's perfectly fine. Everybody's in a different time zone. We have a lot of international students from different parts of the world. So for many of you, either it's good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where in the world you are. We are delighted that you can join us for this session. This is on the visa information session. This is important in terms of the entire process as you plan the last part of your journey before you show up here at Niagara University. My name is Dulip Devastale. I'm the Vice President for International Relations at Niagara University. And with me is my colleague, and I'll let her introduce herself.
Hello, my name is Katie DeSico, and I'm the Assistant Director of International Student Services here at Niagara University.
All right, thank you, Katie, and a very good morning to you. And we will be joined behind the scenes by some of our colleagues, and they will be helping us answer some of the questions, depending on the kind of questions you ask. Not all questions we may be able to answer right away. Sometimes it is specific to a country, and that for those questions we prefer to answer separately so that others are not confused by the answer. It may not apply to them, but it may apply to somebody else. So on that note, the other key thing which I'd like to say is, please use your Q&A to ask any questions. So if you look down in the icons, you'll see the Q&A button. Use that to send any questions to us. And we'll be happy to either read them out here publicly if it's a question which we feel applies to everyone. Otherwise, we will answer it privately directly to you if it has to do with your specific situation or it has to do with the country you are in. So it could be one of two ways, but please feel free to ask any questions. You're most welcome to. Any question is good enough. We can share it with the rest of the group, or we can answer it to you in terms of what you're looking for. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to walk you a little bit through the F1 process, that is the immigration process. You have all applied to Niagara University. You have been admitted to the university. Now, what happens next? And so I'm going to turn over to my colleague and say, Katie, walk us through a little bit of what happens after a student has received his or her approval, a letter of approval to join Niagara University. What is the next step?
Sure, absolutely. So we're going to talk a little bit about the I-20 document that most international students will need to obtain a visa to come to Niagara University. The exception here is Canadian students. Canadian students still need an I-20, but they do not need a visa. So once we get to that part of the process, we'll provide a little bit of clarity. But as Juliet mentioned, once you've applied to Niagara University and have been accepted and have made your deposit, you will be sent an I-20 certificate of eligibility application. This is something that can be completed online and submitted through the same portal that you submitted your admissions application, and then sent back to us so that we can work on issuing you that document. So the application itself has 3 different sections that you'll complete, and then you also need to upload the required documents. And those include a copy of your passport and also financial eligibility.
Okay, very good. So it's a very simple process. Once you get the information, you fill out that form, send it back to us with all the information. Somebody from our office will review it. And if there is anything missing, they will contact you and ask for additional information. If not, just wait, and the official I-20 will be sent to you by email. And then there will be a few other steps that you need to follow. Katie mentioned financial eligibility. Can you explain to all of us, what does that financial eligibility mean for a student who's applying and filling out their I-20 form?
Sure. So the U.S. government wants international students who are coming here to be able to prove that they have enough funds to live and study in the United States for the duration of their program. So there's a set amount of funds that you need to show that you have or have access to. And that's determined by the cost of tuition, the program that you're doing, average living expenses, cost of health insurance, that sort of thing. So when you complete the application, you'll see a dollar amount that you have to show that you can access. And you show that by providing documentation of either a personal bank statement, a checking or savings account, the bank statement of a parent or another person who's sponsoring your education, a loan statement, a line of credit account, retirement funds, as long as the funds can be accessed immediately and are available for early withdrawal, or a scholarship. And you don't have to have all your funds available in one of these accounts. You can sort of piece them together as long as the total is at least the required amount by the U.S. government. So when you're completing the application, you will state, I have X amount of dollars in my checking account, my parents are giving me this much money, and I have this much in a scholarship. And as long as that total amount is the amount required by the government, then that should be sufficient. And then we just need documentation of each form of financial eligibility attached to the application. It has to be in US dollars, and it has to be in English.
Very good. Thank you very much. So that is an important piece of the submission process, because that allows us to generate the I-20, and that will have the amount stipulated over there, exactly what Katie has talked about, the cost of tuition, living expenses, and all other expenses which add up for 1 year. And that total amount is what should be the total which you have put forward. It could be a combination of 3, 4, 5 different pieces of information. Could be a loan combined with a scholarship, combined by a letter from the sponsor, your own bank account statements. All that put together should make up, or be equal to or more than what has been indicated in that I-20 by Niagara University. Okay. All right. Very good. Let's keep moving, since that is this is piece by piece we are moving in terms of all the questions that typically come up. So what does the student do once they receive their I-20?
Well, actually, first, I just want to speak a little bit to the process on our end once we receive the application. I want students to have patience. The process doesn't happen overnight. It's very important, but depending on the time of year, we oftentimes have quite a few applications to move through. So I would say we generally try to process the applications in the order in which they are received. And I would say anticipate a minimum of 2 to 3 weeks from the time when we receive your application to when you hear from us about your I-20. We will review the application. We will contact you if we have any missing documents or if we see any errors. And then if all is well, we'll issue the I-20 and we will email that out to you. Now, to get back to Julie's last question about what you do once you receive the I-20, you'll receive initially an email from us. It'll have the I-20 attached as well as instructions for your next steps. Oftentimes, you will need a hard copy or an original copy of that I-20 to take for your visa appointment. So we recommend that students set up express mail to receive that original I-20 document. Before you make your visa appointment, you must also pay the SEVIS fee of $350. In our email to you, we will include instructions on how to make that payment. It's important to note this is not a Niagara University fee. You likely will have paid a deposit once you were accepted to the university. This is separate. This goes to the U.S. government, and proof of payment of this amount is required for your visa appointment. And then you can go ahead and make your visa appointment at the nearest embassy or consulate. And if approved, then you'll be issued your F1 visa to study in the United States.
Very good. So once again, just to for me to understand and for the listeners to kind of get a sense, patience is a key word. To be patient. It does take time for us after we receive your I-20 application for us to review it and do everything that is needed from our side. And you should give at least about 2 to 3 weeks for you to receive the I-20 in an email. But again, once you receive that, it will have instructions of how to create an express account, express mail. That is the basis on which you will receive the original copy. Okay, that is usually required when you go for your visa to the embassy or to the consulate. So again, be patient. Once you get that, create your express mail account. You will get the original document and you use that, to go to the embassy.
Yeah. And it's important to be aware of that timeline when you're applying. So if you want to start for the fall semester, which begins at the end of August, you don't want to be starting this process in June. It just takes too much time. So I would anticipate the 2 to 3 weeks once we receive it, but also you don't have your hard copy in hand once you get it. So then anticipate some time for it to be mailed to you, and then anticipate there's usually a bit of a backup at the consulates to make your appointment. So really the sooner the better for you to sort of start getting your ducks in a row, so that it's not a stressful situation where the semester is starting and you can't get everything done in time.
And again, when it has to do with making an appointment, please remember the U.S. government, all the embassies and consulates are making a special effort to accommodate all students. They are quite aware that students are leaving and they have to arrive by sometime towards the end of August, usually in the 3rd week for majority of the universities in the U.S. So they are trying also to make sure that there are enough slots available for you to make appointments. But again, please be careful. Once you receive the documents, then make your appointment. Don't jump the gun a little bit, as they say, by making an appointment and still waiting for the documents to come. It has happened where the student has made the appointment and they've had to cancel because the letter did not arrive. They kind of thought they got a quick date, but sometimes it may work against you. So just be careful a little bit about that. Again, the SEVIS fee, which Katie mentioned, of $350, that is a U.S. government fee. That is actually your visa fee. So anytime you apply for a visa to go to any country, there is a fee. In this case, because you're coming on an F1 non-immigrant visa to the United States to study, there is a special fee, and that fee is $350. You're required to pay it before you go for your interview and get your F1 visa.
And I just want to quickly mention a couple more things. The emailed I-20 is actually a result of COVID-19. Initially, we were never allowed to email them. We were only express mailing them or regular mailing them. So since COVID, we've been allowed to email the I-20s. We do anticipate that going away at some point soon. As of right now, we're still permitted to do so. And sometimes it's sufficient on its own, although we always strongly recommend that you set up the express mail for the original copy. But that is something we do anticipate going away in the near future. And then the other thing I just wanted to mention that I mentioned briefly in the beginning is that Canadian students do not need a visa. So once you receive your I-20, you are ready to enter the United States at the beginning of the semester, go through the customs process and enter without a visa. So you don't have to worry about the appointment with the consulate.
Great. Once again, to all our attendees, wherever they are, if you have any questions, please do go ahead and write your questions out in the Q&A, and we will be able to respond to it. One of the questions that has come in has to do with what are the documents that a student should be taking to their interview, to their visa interview for an F1 visa. Can we kind of list all the documents that are required?
Sure. So this is going to vary country by country. So this is not a concrete absolute list. We encourage students to do your own research, depending on where you are, depending on which consulate you're going to. But generally speaking, you will need to bring your I-20, your original I-20 with you, your NU acceptance letter, your passport, your proof of financial eligibility, so your bank statements or whatever you have to prove that you have the finances, and then proof that you've paid the $350 CVIS fee, so a receipt from that transaction.
Okay, very good. So again, very, very important, as Katie has pointed out, please find out from your embassy or consulate in your country if these are the 5 documents required. Some may have additional requirements. We don't know. Some may say, no, we need only 4. But I would say that these are the 5 most typically asked for. And that is your I-20 once again, your NU acceptance letter, which kind of details your admission to the university and any other information that it has shared about scholarship, your passport, very important, proof of financial eligibility, the stuff which we talked about earlier, all those different documents which add up to the amount that is required on the I-20. So you must have that proof with you when you go to the visa interview. And finally, the CVIS fee, the $350 CVIS fee, which you're required to pay. You need to have that confirmation. It'll be generated once you pay that fee. Only then can you go and get your visa. Okay, very good. So now we come to the most important part. I mean, what happens after doing all this and you show up at a US embassy or consulate for your interview? What is the interview? And this is a piece where many times students feel, okay, what information should I be sharing? So we're going to talk a little bit about how do you go through that interview process, all right? The one most important thing is to be brief and precise. Don't go with, oh, let me explain, or I was thinking that. Nothing along the, actually, in all honesty, not the words you want to use when you're talking to the visa officer. You're asked a question, provide the precise answer that you should be providing. Do not exaggerate, do not elaborate, do not do anything. If the officer feels they want more information, they'll ask you another question, but you do not voluntarily step forward and say, oh, let me explain what I was trying to save that in my answer. Very, very important. Another very, very important thing you must demonstrate is your ties to the home country. We understand you're coming for an education here and you have ideas about your future, but that future for the moment should be tied back to your home country. You're coming here to get the education, maybe have an experience in terms of OPT and everything else, but the intent is you are going back. Okay, you are going back to whichever country you have come from. Later on, that's a different issue. But for the start, you must be able to inform the visa officer that your intent is to return back to country after getting the education that you are going for. Very, very important to demonstrate those ties. My parents are here. I'm going to take over my father's business. I plan to join here. There are many opportunities back in my country. Whatever it is, you will know the answer to all of those, but that is something you must emphasize, okay? The other aspect is when a visa officer will ask, it's like, why are you going to Niagara University? What are you studying? Or anything related to that. You must be aware of why you have chosen Niagara University and the program of study. And those are your reasons. Whatever those reasons are, please be precise and be very clear of what those intentions are. So explain, I have chosen Niagara University, and then in one line, whatever your answer is, and I plan to study, computer science or business or theater, whatever it is that you have chosen to come here for, explain that just very clearly. They need to see that, you made the right decision in choosing Niagara University and choosing the major, whatever area of study that you want to go move forward in. So know your program, know what is it that you're going to be doing, focus on that and emphasize it, okay? Again, be precise, don't go off into all explanations of everything. They understand it, they see thousands of students. So they want you to be precise in terms of, what is your answer. And finally, most importantly, and this is where sometimes students kind of get a little sidetracked, they emphasize or talk about family members who are in the US. No, not needed. You will be doing yourself a disservice. They do not need to know about, if they need to know, they will ask, but you try to be as brief as possible. Do not make any mention of, uncles and aunts and brothers and sisters and whoever, cousins and everything else like that. That is all not required. You do not have to make mention of that. This is your education. You are going to the US to study, get a degree, and go back to your home country for your future. It has nothing to do with anybody else. So we would strongly recommend, do not make mention of that. It does not help in any way your case. If you feel that, so-and-so is going to help me, they might ask a question. How are you going to make ends meet? You've got indicated this financial ability. It's like, oh, well, I plan to focus on, my studies. That is the primary intent. If there is something on campus, I may do that, but that is not my intent. I will focus purely on my education. Be brief, be precise. That is all that is needed. Don't go off into something else by showing your creative side or something, how entrepreneurial you are. Those will go against you in an interview situation. So that is where, those are our recommendations as you focus on an interview. All right. So what happens next after they get their visa? They do go through all this and they have a great interview and they get their F1 non-immigrant stamp on their passport, and they decide to say like, all right, now I go and get my airline tickets. What happens next, Katie?
So once students receive their visa, you can make arrangements to enter the United States. You cannot enter more than 30 days prior to the program start date. So don't plan to spend the summer here or anything like that. You need to enter pretty close to the start of the semester. This fall, our semester will begin on August 28th. We are holding an international student orientation on Thursday, August 24th, that you're all invited to attend. So we would encourage you to arrive on the 22nd or the 23rd, just a day or two before, so you can get settled, get over the jet lag, get your bearings a little bit before we roll right into the orientation session. And then, as I mentioned, the semester will start on the 28th. Now you'll receive information at orientation and also through email that all international students must complete an international student check-in in our office, the Office of International Relations, at the beginning of each semester. So what that means is within the first week or so, you're going to come to our office, complete a check-in form, and we're going to check to make sure that you're registered full-time for courses, that you're in compliance, that you're taking in-person classes, that you're doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing. And then we will sign your I-20 for you. That signature is very important if you're going to leave the country and come back. And in order to be in compliance with the US government, you need to have that signature obtained at the beginning of every semester. So we'll communicate with you more about that as we get closer, but just know that you're not done yet once you get here. We still have to review that, that you're in compliance, have you fill out that document and give you that signature.
Very good. So as Katie has pointed out, yes, those final steps, once you have received your visa and you're celebrating at home and getting your airline tickets and everything, please do arrive a few days in advance of the start of the semester. We have an intensive international student orientation. We walk you through all aspects of the university, academic and non-academic, and about your living here on campus, getting familiar. You'll get to meet a lot of the other students, international students, on the first day. And on the second day, you will get to meet all the students, all the American students who will be part of your class. You will get to meet them because then is the general orientation for the entire university. All the new incoming students will have the orientation. You'll be part of that also. So you'll have two orientations. One is specific to international. We walk you through various immigration related issues, your being in status, what is required every semester of you, and what do you do about your classes in case things are, you want to take more classes or you want to drop a class. So you keep in touch with us. We provide you with that advice that is necessary so that you can have a successful time here at Niagara University. We will be with you the entire 4 years or whatever program you are in, the time it takes for you to graduate. Our office will be responsible to guide you and assist you for all non-academic issues. So that will be our primary role, making sure that you have a good time here on campus and in the United States. Is there anything else that we should be sharing with the students? This tape will be shared with you. So you will have this webinar. You can revisit it. It'll be sent out to you as a link. So if you have any questions or if you want to go back and listen to some of our suggestions or recommendations, please do so. You can always email us with any questions you may have that, you said that, and then we will try and elaborate. But the steps are very clear and very simple. Just follow the steps and you'll be able to move forward. The information you'll be getting from us will also indicate those steps. Just read carefully. If there is for some reason you do not understand, you can always get in touch with us. Anything else, Katie, that we should be sharing with them?
I think that's pretty much it. Just as Julie said, take your time, give yourself plenty of time. It can be a stressful process. So please take your time to read everything, go through each step, and make sure you complete everything properly. And if you have any questions at all that we didn't get to today, you can email us at international@niagara.edu, and we would be happy to help you through the process.
All right, on behalf of Katie and myself and all the folks here at Niagara, we are looking forward to you joining us very soon. In actually a matter of just a few months, you should be here enjoying the wonderful university hospitality, and more importantly, getting a feel of the area you are in and a walk to the famous Niagara Falls. We will be taking you there just when you arrive, after you arrive. But we look forward to meeting up with you and helping you come over. All right. Thank you very much and welcome to Niagara University.